What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan coming to you live from Boca Raton, Florida. And today I want to take a random walk down Comment Street. All right, cool. So let's dive in. Let's put a banner up really quick too. So if you're interested in my book, there it is, kylewriter.com/book. You can check out Take Their Money. All right, does your deep research video mention how to question your clients? Yeah, it does. So the deep research videos is, I think it's 5 videos. It's about 2 hours of content. And essentially the 3 things that I think you really need to cover when you're doing research is going to be, you need to know your target market. So it kind of gives you like background on how to research your target market, find out about their demos and like their thoughts and stuff, and like find basically how to sell to their desires. The second thing you got to cover is your product, your actual product, the thing that you're selling. So a lot of people kind of miss this in that so there's 3 main things, like the target market, the product itself, and the guru and their messaging, their branding, and what they stand for and represent. Whenever we get to like how the product functions and operates, there's a lot of questions like digging into like the client and saying like, hey, how is this essentially the big 4 emotions: new, easy, safe, and big? And you kind of keep asking different variants of the same question said different ways until you kind of dig out that unique line that they utter where it's like, ooh, that's good. I have those moments all the time. I know the big idea is a big thing that people talk about a lot. And I think you should spend a lot of time starting at the product level and figuring out what makes your product unique. And inside of Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson, he talks about this like linear chain of how you should come up with your big idea. I think a lot of people just go hunting for a big idea, but he says in that book, if I recall correctly from the top of my head, starts at the USP, and the USP, your unique selling proposition, what makes your product unique, right? Starts at the product level. I think that's something I really want to stress, is some people get on these kicks about big ideas and they completely neglect their product and their brand, and they come up with this thing that's completely detached. And that causes client friction, is whenever you're trying to sell a product for a client and you're like, I'm the copywriter, I'm the expert, we need a big idea, and this crazy big idea over here is what you need. And they're going to say, well, that doesn't represent me at all. So we do talk about inside the research videos how to dig out that USP. And Michael Masterson, I was saying, so you have an idea for like a product, and then you come up with the USP, which is like the only thing that does this. And the big idea is found in the USP. And then from the big idea, you create a big promise. The deep research videos covers all that. I think that's important that you think of it from that linear progression. You got a unique selling proposition, right? You've got an idea for a product. Now, what makes that product unique? That's what you want to dig into, and research videos will help you with that. So I hope that is helpful for you. Hanra Roos, is the objection claim proof benefit framework only applicable in the financial niche? Nah, man. So if you're asking that question, it means you're not reading enough copy. Plain and simple. Like if you're asking, is objection claim proof benefit only applicable in financial, then you haven't gone and found a health sales letter, or found like a beauty sales letter or a dating sales letter and found those patterns. So like that's just pure research. The answer to that is definitely not. So for instance, one sales page that popped up, I don't know, like during our Copy Squad Inner Circle stuff, was this V-Shred. I mean, like this was just like the first thing that pops up once they introduce all this stuff to you, is they say, is this possible? Is it possible to gain muscle while losing fat? And then they handle that objection. Like it's like the first thing they do out of the gate. So if you're asking that question, you're simply not reading enough copy, and you need to read more. Hello, Kyle. What do you do after marking out copy? I mean, how do you imitate it? So here's how I do it. I think a promo is a bit like a recipe book, and I'll zoom in on this for you too. So when I break down a promo, I kind of treat it like a recipe. I read it through once, and then I kind of think I got the good gist of it. I kind of feel like I know what's going on. And then I go through the second time and realize I actually didn't have a great gist of what was going on. I mislabel a lot of things that I thought were meant to do one objective, and then they actually were doing something completely different. I didn't realize until my second read through how wrong I had gotten it. And my third time is kind of like, again, so I read it through once, like, again, think of it like a recipe. Read it through once. I am marking it notes in the margins, but then I read it through again, and I'm trying to like validate my original hypotheses about, was this the big promise? Was this the catalyst? Was this the mechanism? How is this function? And then in the third time, I'm really like digging in and saying, okay, this is actually that, and here's the order and the unfolding of the of the sales letter. So what I did here for America 2.0, which is a Paul Mampilli, Banyan Hill promotion, I just started kind of like, I have it transcribed at rev.com. That's what I do too. I transcribe those videos. So I start highlighting and pointing out what different pieces are happening when. So right away, boom, big promise, trigger BS, offer proof. So at that point, what kind of proof is it? It's establishing a pattern and then offering cred here. So these are kind of like the beats of a sales letter, which is like what I do here is I kind of outline like what's happening when in a promotion. And now I can look at just this and say, okay, I need to introduce the big promise. It's got a name there, economic upgrade. So he's kind of giving it a bit of a descriptive gimmick. And then I'm calling it something, right? So I can kind of now take this sort of format that I've created and I can start plugging in my own elements. I like to use sort of these vague terms like big promise, trigger BS, because that allows me the freedom to kind of come up with my own way to fit into this skeleton, what it is that I want to say. So if he's talking about the catalyst here, like America 2.0, when this happens, everything's going to blow up or something like that. And then he starts talking about the offer, right? So once he wraps up this section of copy, he starts teasing the reports and he sells me on the reports. Then bam, right here, he starts to tell me like, why tell me? Why are you sharing this with me today? So, okay, so maybe once I do all of this stuff and then I tease my offer, maybe now I answer that objection, why tell me? So instead of having to sit here and pontificate and be the thinker and be like, what are they going to object next? What are they going to do next? How am I going to answer this? I simply go, here's my process. I find 5 promos that are selling a similar product with a similar angle to what I want to sell. And then I read those, okay? Then I throw away 2 of them and I really dig in on 3. I dig in on 3 and kind of figure out what's happening, what's making them tick. And then I marry 1. I become completely monogamous with that one. And I try to understand every tick, every second of that promo so that I can kind of fill in how so the next thing they do is they go into, okay, how is this possible? So the next thing they do is they prove that the economic climate of the world that we are around or surrounded in at this time when they wrote that we were in a big boom. And first you have to build the world that first we are in a big boom. So on my promo, I need to explain how it's possible, what caused all this to occur and put us in this position. And the way that they do it is they put out a lot of proof that establishes patterns and patterns and patterns. So then I think to myself, well, what kind of pattern can I come up with that can establish the exact same sort of like you come to the logical conclusion that, hey, if X happens, Y happens. And then, oh, look, X happened again, and then Y happened again. And then they leave you with this question. Once they do that, they set those 2 examples or case studies up, and they say, well, what do you think is going to happen this time? So check it out. At 15 minutes and 6 seconds into this promo, they talk about America's golden age, a 10-year period of explosive growth. Then they say, oh, it also happened in 1980, another 10-year period of explosive growth. Well, today, we're in another solid 10-year bull market, identical to the 40s and the 80s. 1,000% seemed ludicrous then and probably does now. What do you think is going to happen this time? So that's kind of like, that's what I do. Your question is, what do you do after marking up copy? I dig in. That's how I imitate it. Okay. So the Creative Copywriters Are Broke video is about the fact that I think copywriting is a mechanical process. I don't really think I have a lot of creativity. Even down to like the way I kind of choose to structure my sales letter I outlined earlier. I just pick a framework that has worked in another sales letter, and then I fill in the pieces with my own research. But I don't invent the framework. I don't invent the rules. I try to play within the rules. So this whole thing about creative copywriters are broke, that's probably the one where I say the hardest thing for a copywriter to do is to simply do the least. Copywriters want to be so creative. And just, I was reviewing one of my juniors' copy this morning, and I kind of beat him up a little bit. But I was just like, how did you write this? Like, what framework were you using? And he said, well, I was like, you were freeballing it, weren't you? You were just writing, like you were just soul writing. Like we don't do that. Like we're not trying to invent how to write a sales argument. A sales argument is generally pretty straightforward and similar. I would say the 4 questions that are most powerful in a sales argument are going to be along the lines of, First question, question one is what's in it for me? Question number two is how the hell is that possible? So the first question, you're going to trigger like a massive BS response, like bullcrap, I don't believe that. That's crazy. So the next question you have to answer is how is that possible? No, it's not crazy. It's actually possible because, and then you answer that it's possible because. Oh, so if that thing that you just said what I thought was crazy is actually possible, well, the next thing I want to know is, well, how do you do that? How does it work? Tell me how you know that's real. Tell me how you're able to figure that out and no one else was. Tell me, like, how does it work? And then you're going to explain how it works. It's, okay, well, now I know how it works, but there's still like a gap. How do I get started? Like, you told me all this stuff, but I can't do that. How do I get started? So that's when you answer with your product, okay? So a sales letter argument, what's in it for me? How's that possible? How does it work? How do I get started? Bingo, bango. Reinventing the wheel drives me nuts, which is probably what this video was about, creative copywriters. All right, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate you all being here, hanging out, asking comments, questions. You can definitely check out my book, Take Their Money. It's at kylethewriter.com/book. It'll teach you how to write the words that really make you rich. Thanks so much for tuning in, and peace out, Copy Squad.